Hey there. Good morning and welcome to ShareTreck. I'm your host, Raj. This morning, Wall Street futures are looking mixed after big earnings misses, and US stock index futures opened on a cautious note as investors digested disappointing earnings from Tesla and IBM. And they remain alert to fresh US sanctions against Russia's oil giants Rosneft and Lukoil. Tesla's shares dropped after a third quarter earnings miss and a gloomy outlook from Elon Musk, who warned of continued margin pressures despite record revenues. IBM fell 5% after its software division outlook was cut. And also, when we talk about software, there was this news that Trump might put sanctions against China with regard to critical software exports. That was another thing that brought down the market yesterday. Meanwhile, quantum computing stocks are surging. I saw that Rigetti is starting to reverse its decline. The reports are that the Trump administration is considering equity investments in US quantum firms in exchange for federal funds. Now, especially with regard to Rigetti, I think it's got a big risk by taking federal funding because they have a contract with CDAC, which is what pushed up Rigetti's share price from the low two digits to the mid two digits. Now, if they accept federal funding, most probably Trump is going to say that they have to discontinue their engagement with CDAC. So let us see how that plays out, whether Rigetti actually gets the money. In terms of geopolitics, oil and commodity markets reacted sharply to a White House announcement of possibility of sanctions targeting Russia's two largest oil producers in response to the war in Ukraine, marking the first direct action against Russia by the second Trump administration. Crude oil prices jumped roughly 3% to a two-week high, boosting energy sector stocks. Gold and silver held steady after this week's volatility, settling well off their early October peaks as investors reduce risk hedging positions. Now, my personal opinion with regard to gold price is that gold probably was sold to cover short positions, and that's the reason why gold fell. I think that gold is riding a support. There's a support line. I'll show it to you when I look at the TradingView platform. I firmly believe that gold has got more to go ahead. And the credit market and macro factors indicate that recent credit flare-ups from Ambipar to First Brands have kept investors focused on the health of global credit system, especially in regional banks and high-yield lenders. And the prolonged US government shutdown has delayed key economic data, leaving the markets to speculate ahead of Friday's vital CPI release. Now, when the CPI data comes, the second question will be, can you believe that data, whether it has got any kind of massaging in it? So those are all the factors that we have to keep in mind. Treasury yields are holding near recent lows amid the uncertainty. And Honeywell raised its profit outlook for 2025, citing strong aerospace demand, while SAP shares turned negative after a cautious new cloud revenue forecast. Meta confirmed 600 layoffs, primarily affecting administrative and non-core AI roles, as major tech firms continue to streamline in a competitive environment. Paramount Skydance is now the leading contender to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery after Comcast dropped out of the running. In summary, I would say that October 23rd, 2023 opens with Wall Street futures mixed amid major earnings misses, new US sanctions against Russia driving oil higher, and continued caution around US-China trade. Credit risks and the ongoing government shutdown are also in focus. So overall, that's what I would say as the setup for this morning. Let's go on to the TradingView platform and see what the charts are telling us. I'm looking at our chat section. Good morning, Inf. Good morning, Hot Dog. Thanks for joining. Can we look at Tesla and IBM? They both reported earnings. And Netflix. Yes, of course. That's what we do every day. Those are all in our watch list. So we're going to look at them. Let me go on and look at S&P 500 futures first. As we can see, the S&P 500 futures are range bound within this wedge pattern out here. In a normal circumstance, I would drag this out here and I would say there is this large wedge pattern on a bullish trend. So it's a bullish pennant, and therefore probability of breakout is going to be on the upside. But now I'm going to qualify that by saying we are still within the context of this huge candle out here, red candle, this is a bearish context. If this was a green candle, I would have said we are still bullish. The other factor is that this line of resistance has not been broken since, I would say, 3rd of October 2025. We've gone very close to it, but we have been pushed back. So the chances of breaking out on the upside seems to be less. And also there is another theory that I have learned from other sources, that when you have a line of support that is going upwards and you have multiple touch points on that, after the 4th touch point, every other touch point becomes more probable for a breakdown on the downside. So right now out here we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 touch points. The next touch point that we have out here is going to give way to the downside. That is the highest probability in my opinion. So we'll have to watch that. I think the chances of a breakdown are much higher than the chances of a breakout. Next, let's look at NASDAQ. Same story out here. And we have got multiple touch points here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think any other touch point out here has the highest probability of breaking out on the downside. And let us look at the VIX. The VIX indicates that there is a lot of volatility in store for today. And yesterday also we had a green candle. We started low, went higher, and we got pushed down. But today we are moving upwards. So I'm thinking that overall the market probably is coming to its senses. And look at gold. Even though the dollar index is still going up, gold is traveling this diagonal line of support that I mentioned in the earlier section of our live stream. I'm thinking this diagonal line of support is going to hold. We were pushed up from here. And again, today we were pushed up from here. So this is going to hold. And we have had confirmation about this. So this was the first and second touchdowns out here. So it has to take off from here before it goes into 6 or 7 touchdowns. That's what I'm thinking. And market sentiment is still bullish. MACD is bearish. And momentum is above average, but it has started turning around. So I'm thinking with all the central banks buying all the gold that they have, and the position of US Treasury in the reserves becoming less than or equal to the amount of gold held in central bank reserves, I think that the supply of gold is reducing. Of course, during Diwali, there would have been a little bit of push from the Indian market with a lot of purchases out there for the festive season. Now that it is over, the demand for physical gold will be less and the paper gold can continue. So a little bit of supply moderation could come in. I'm also thinking that when the stock market started going down, people would have probably sold gold and realized profit in order to meet margin calls. Now, all of those pressures are over. So we have to have a gradual race back upwards over the next weeks to come back to challenge the resistance of 4,375.04. That's what I am thinking. Imp is saying gold might drop below 4K. Okay, below 4K. Let us look at this. With every passing day, this diagonal line of support keeps on going higher. So I'm thinking that the chances of us dropping below 4K seems to be less to me. Now, let me draw another line out here, a line of support. This line of support is taking the top of these two candles, the closing and the opening of the last two candles out here, and that gives me 4,043.92. So I think it won't go below 4K. This is what I'm feeling. Of course, you can't take it to the bank, but my opinion is that it's not going below 4K. And 4K is also a psychological level. That said, put-call ratio is becoming neutral with every passing minute, and Canadian bond yields continue to edge higher. This is not great, but we'll see what happens on the 29th of October. If the Central Bank of Canada does a rate cut, then I think we'll start this coming back down again. Next, let's go on to have a look at the indicators themselves. S&P 500 is still moving within this parallel lines, the parallel channel. And today, we are going to have a support at 6,646.31. So this is going to be the support line, and the resistance for today is likely to be at around 6,087.54. And next we look at NASDAQ. NASDAQ has still got support from this parallel channel, just extending this parallel channel to leave it where it is. And then today's the support is going to be 24,865.71, and resistance is likely to be at 25,139.34. Market sentiment is bearish, MACD is bearish, and momentum also is dropping. QQQ indicates a negative open today. It's down minus 0.30% in pre-market trades. We are now straddling the median, which happens to be 603.73. We are already at 603.71. Assuming we open below 603.73, 603.73 will become our resistance for today, and the support for today would be around 603.71. So that said, let us go and have a look at AI. And in AI, I'm looking at NVDA. As you can see, in case of NVDA, I think we are no longer going to meet this target. I'm going to remove the reverse head and shoulder target. And what we have here is a consolidation pattern that has managed to stay under 183.65 for a long time. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. And I think overall, NVIDIA looks bearish to me. Market sentiment is bearish. MACD is fully bearish. Momentum has dropped below the average. So a little bit of correction and profit taking could happen out here. And many people who have had NVIDIA for a long time might decide to sell and book profit on at least part of their holdings or sell calls. So that dynamic will probably materialize. And then you look at Meta. In case of Meta, we have got a minus 0.39% movement in the pre-market trade. And again, we are below 737.79 for a long period of time. So I'm still thinking 655.14 is possible for Meta. Market sentiment is bearish. MACD is, of course, pretty bullish, but momentum is average. We are waiting for earnings on 29th of October. And on 29th of October, we'll find out how things go. There are a lot of positive things going on for Meta. I see a lot of advertisement for their glasses in collaboration, not only with Ray-Ban, but with other major manufacturers of sunglasses. So that's another area that they're expanding on. They have cut the staff levels, which is directly going to add to the bottom line. And they still have a very strong platform. So overall, all of those things are positive. But one of the problems I have with companies like Meta and I would say Microsoft is basically that they have put a lot of money into AI infrastructure, and there's a lot of competition. LLMs alone don't seem to be the ones that could probably give returns. So we are looking at industrial consumption. When I say industrial consumption, I would like to see evidence of companies like, say, Heinz Ketchups or Berkshire Hathaway companies, all of them kind of deploying AI and increasing their productivity and margins, and then that coming out in their quarterly earnings report. That would give me confidence. I was very enthused when Amazon came out and quantified that they saved I think it was $35 million or something in upgrading their software using AI and reducing the amount of manpower that was needed. Now, that was a very positive use. So if those kind of use starts happening in other companies, and if software companies start reporting that they are improving their ability to upgrade their software and bring new features and functionalities into it without increasing their staff or letting go of some staff, now that would give me an idea that these companies are going to make money. But that will give me optimism only to a certain point, because after that, the question is, who are the people that are going to buy this software? If there are many unemployed people, then there is not enough purchasing power in the market. Right now, US is the king because the per capita income is high, even though US population is much lower. So that dynamic will come into play. I would like to hear your thoughts on this. Let's look at Google. Google is still above this bullish pennant, and Google is getting really good support from this diagonal line of support. We pushed off this yesterday, and we have stayed very far away from here today. Pre-market, we are up 0.25%. Google has got a much more entrenched footprint. I think among all the Max 7 stocks, I think Google is something that will do very well. Unfortunately, I had sold off my Google holdings and booked profits, but out here, this pattern definitely looks quite bullish to me. And if I consider this to be a flagpole, then this is definitely a bullish pennant information, and that can take us up higher. We already had a target of 259.36. We almost touched that and came back down. Now we are likely to go up again. And this topping tail could probably be taken off today. If the topping tail is not taken off, then I think all bets are still on that anything could happen. Now let's go on to Amazon. Amazon has got this reverse head and shoulder. I removed the target yesterday because we have been hitting this resistance of 222.40, and we are consolidating to an extent out here. There was a gap up also which showed a lot of strength, and I still think that Amazon is starting to look positive. It's up 0.43% in pre-market session. Amazon is not just the supermarket on the internet. It's got cloud, and of course AWS had some negative publicity recently, but overall I think they've got a wide enough footprint, and they would probably be able to do better going forward, especially because they are very dynamic. They can change their inventory to meet the changing needs. If it goes into consumer staples, they could have more of consumer staples. It's a nice platform out there, and they would continue to do the cloud expansion, and they have their own AI, all those things. So they're doing all the right things, in my opinion. Now let's look at Apple. It's down 0.25% in pre-market trades, traveling between these two line of support, which is going to be at 251.89 today, and line of resistance, which is going to be at 262.44. So those are the range between which it's going to move. There's a gap up that needs to be filled, and market sentiment is bearish. MACD is also bearish, and momentum has dropped. But we have earnings on 30th of October. Some good news out there can actually help us to build a foundation, move up, because right now I do not see any patterns out here, bullish or bearish. Now let's look at Microsoft, which is up 0.12% in pre-market trades, and we have a support at 515.26. With regard to Microsoft, the questions are whether we have longevity for the Microsoft Office platform, which is now available on the cloud, and whether that still remains relevant, given that we have the AI being capable of making various kinds of documents and converting them into PDF, and reading various kinds of images and converting them into text. With all those capabilities out there, maybe Excel might still have value for modeling, but what about the presentation with PowerPoint? What about Word and those kind of products? So that's one area where I'm concerned. The other area I'm concerned is that they put their lot with OpenAI. They put a lot of money into OpenAI, but OpenAI is out of their control now. And I don't know how that's going to manifest on their AI ambitions going forward. But for right now, they are consolidating. And as I mentioned earlier, there seems to be a reverse head and shoulder pattern if you look carefully. But with this new development out here, since 6th of October 2025, I'm a little bit confused. I don't know what to make out of this. So I'm not getting much out of the chart out here for Microsoft. So I'm going to say that the market sentiment is bearish, MACD is bearish, plenty of room out here. Let's wait for the earnings on the 29th of October. Maybe we get a new piece of information. Till then, I think we are going to have support at 515.26. Tesla is down 4.04% in pre-market trades. And I have TSLQ. I'm hoping that I would get into a better position with TSLQ this morning. And I have a long way to go, but I hear that Hot Dog also bought TSLQ. So we are on the same boat. And I think Hot Dog bought TSLQ at the right time. So he could make some profits right now. I think he would already be profitable right now. But we'll have to see what happens with Tesla. I can visualize a kind of shoulder here, a head here, and another shoulder in formation. If this continues to happen and we cross what I think is going to be a neckline somewhere out here, let me draw a neckline. I would say this would be the neckline. And if this is the neckline, and if this doesn't perform the role of a support and we fall below this, then I think we could plot where Tesla could go. We also have a gap fill to be done out here. So TSLQ is Tesla short inf. TSLQ is Tesla short. Okay, so let's look at Oracle. Oracle is down 0.18%, moving towards this gap fill. And I'll just extend this diagonal line of resistance and leave it there. Now, this diagonal line of resistance is going to be the place where we are going to find Oracle traveling, in my opinion, until we complete the gap fill. And that is definitely going to be a good deal of support that will prevent Oracle from going below, what is this line here? Let us say 257.98. So watch out for 257.98. That could be a point where it could bounce back. So we'll see what happens. And we also have this as a bullish pennant right now, because if you look at this bull flag starting here and going all the way up here, right? So we have almost 50% of that covered. Let us be a little bit more charitable and say this is the bull flag. So we have 50% covered. So let us watch for a few more candles. If we fall below this 50%, then I think we'll have to watch how the patterns emerge afterwards. But if we don't fall below this 50% and we break out above this diagonal line of resistance, then I think we'll look for new patterns. In that case, we'll have this reverse head and shoulder pattern forming, which can be a bullish sign, and we can plot some targets out there. So anything could happen with Oracle. We'll have to watch for a few more candles. Market sentiment is absolutely bearish. MACD is fully bearish, and momentum is below average. So when we go to the bottom of MACD and RSI and sentiments, that's when they start turning around, because when you hit the ground, you have to bounce back. That's what happens. So there could be a dead cat bounce in store for Oracle. AMD is down 0.84%. We still have resistance at 236.86. This is a resistance which has held for quite a while, and we have to see what happens out here. That's a gap fill that is attracting the price downwards. Pre-market, we are down 0.79%. SMCI is down 0.34%. I think we are looking at a trend change out here. And today, pre-market, we are down 0.29%. Market sentiment still is bullish, but it's starting to wane. MACD is already bearish. Momentum is just above average. Earnings due on 4th November 2025. Will it or will it not justify? That's the question. Right now, if I'm looking at the pattern out here, I would say this is the flagpole, and then we have this line out here which defines some kind of a flag. So we are at the 50% mark. If we drop down further, then I think we are going to have a problem. It will no longer be a bull flag. But if we manage to move sideways, and then we have the chances of breaking above the top line of this flag and moving upward. So I'm going to give SMCI a little more benefit of doubt. And then let's look at Broadcom. Broadcom is already in a bullish wedge pattern. Now this is the flagpole out here for this bullish wedge pattern. And we had already dropped below 50%, but now we are firmly back into the pennant. So I would say this is the bullish pennant with the probability of breaking out on the upside, provided we don't break down. So today is going to be quite critical. If today we touch this and bounce back up again, then we'll watch the next few candles. So Broadcom, market sentiment is bearish, MACD is already bearish, momentum is just above average. So what happens today could very well determine the course of events. And in the past, like on 10th of October, we broke down, but the very next day we jumped back up again due to news catalysts. And I don't see any new news catalyst coming in here right now. Earnings is also quite far away. It's in December. So we got to see what's going to happen today. Today might actually prove to be critical. Next, let us look at Palantir. Palantir is down 0.99%. Export of software might be controlled by the Trump administration. That is the news which is pushing Palantir down. So I'm thinking that our cup and handle dreams are waning very quickly. Today will be critical for Palantir. If we come down to this support and bounce back from this support, then we are looking at some kind of a trend out here. I would like to put this diagonal line of resistance and mark that as red. And I would say that this is the flagpole. This is the flagpole. We no longer look at the cup and handle pattern. This is the flagpole, and we are already very close to the 50% of the flagpole. Momentarily, we came down and got pushed up. But the next few days will determine whether this flagpole and this flag is valid or not. If it's no longer valid, if we fall below the 50%, then our chances of dropping below this parallel channel increases. So let's see what happens with the next few candles. SMH semiconductor ETF is still very close to this line of support at 337.09. Pre-market, we are at 335.53. If SMH gives in, the entire indices will start giving in, because SMH constitutes a good portion of the index because it contains all the semis, which account for almost 30% of the index. And the semis are the ones that have been pulling it up. And the semis have also been pulling up the AI sector. So the AI is also a big component of the index. And when that happens, there'll be margin calls and other things. So the contagion might spread, because we are at very high valuation. So I'm not going to jinx everything by marking this diagonal line of support as resistance as yet, even though pre-market prices are below that. Let us see what happens during the day if we break down below this. Then we'll have to take out 324.76 in order to confirm this horizontal line of resistance. So we'll wait for that and see what happens. But right now, it's looking a little bit bearish because MACD is already bearish. However, market sentiment, which was very bullish, has already started to go towards neutral. Today is going to be a key day for SMH. Tempus AI is up 0.75%, and we have resistance at 89.97. And I'm thinking that Tempus AI has already done a trend reversal. This was a topping tail, and we have never been able to clear it. In the last 2 days, we have confirmed 90.08 as a resistance. So if we go up here, we are most likely to be pushed back down. So I'm bearish. I'm going to pull this line of support from here. I'm going to fine tune this a little bit. And I'm saying that we are going to get support today at around 80.08. Now, Celsius is something that Hot Dog was talking offline to me on the Substack. So Celsius, I saw two long-term cup and handle patterns. So the first cup and handle pattern gives me a target of around 104.32. And because it's a long-term cup and handle pattern, its results can be achieved over a long period of time. So if we had 2 or 3 of these dips out here, I would have considered that to be a handle. So that long-term is still active and alive. The short-term one is now forming zigzag patterns. The short-term cup and handle is 74.59. So I'm thinking Celsius, probably we have to watch it for the next few more days, see more candles develop, and see if it breaks out on the upside. Now, I would like to draw a line out here and say that this line of support should not be broken. And if this gets broken, I think this is at 60.45. So if we fall below 60.45, I would say that probably the shorter cup and handle target is no longer active. But if we zoom out and let us go to a weekly time frame. I'll take a few more minutes on Celsius, I promise, and then I'll move out. So if you look at the weekly time frame, you can see this target looks pretty viable, 104.26. In the past, we have gone all the way up to 99.76. So long-term, I'm bullish on Celsius. That's what I wanted to say, Hot Dog. Watching Tempus is pulling back at the moment. Yeah. Okay. So Celsius, this is what I have there, my friends. So let me go back to the daily time frame. And I want to look at Rigetti just because of the government news. So we have a lot of bearishness. And remember, CDAC news was announced somewhere out here, I think 17th of September or something in that order. And then we just had a huge jump and we picked up significantly. Prior to that, we were in $19, and then we reached all the way to $57 or $58. And now we are back to somewhere around 36.06. The government news of wanting to fund quantum computing companies would attract Rigetti to go to the government. If the government takes that, then the initial factor that gave it the boost, the collaboration with CDAC, will come into a lot of stress. And if we were to form a shoulder here and a head here and another shoulder here, then that could look pretty dangerous. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there's a prospect of that happening. So we have to watch out for that. Now let's go on and have a look at genomics. We have to do this quickly. We have been online for too long. Prime is continuing to make its move downwards. This morning, however, it's up 1.17% in pre-market trades. Market sentiment is already bearish. MACD is wildly bearish, and momentum is below average. And we have this line of resistance out here. I'm going to mark this red. I don't know why it keeps getting greener. And the resistance is going to be today at 5.38, and support for today is going to be 5.12. Right now, we're at 5.17. Now let's look at Intelia. Intelia is up 1.18% in pre-market trades, and resistance is going to be 27.13. And then if we look at Caribou Biosciences, I think that we had a topping tail and we could not better the topping tail. So we have dropped significantly. There are no trades pre-market. Market sentiment, which was bullish, has already begun to wane a little bit. And we have MACD, which is ready to cross over to the bearish side. And momentum has dropped significantly. So we'll have to see what happens with the pre-market action once the trade starts. If we don't get anything, then when the market opens, we'll see what happens out here. Because right now, I think that if this was the flagpole starting from here to here, we are already crossed 50% of the flagpole. And we are also on the influence of a topping tail. So I think we are looking bearish for Caribou Biosciences. Beam Therapeutics is down 0.87%, and it's still looking bearish to me. Pre-market, it's up 0.87%. Market sentiment is bullish, but waning a little bit. MACD is also moving towards the signal line, towards the bearish side. Momentum has dropped. And right now, the bull flag that was there has been compromised, I think, because we are already below 50% of the bull flag. Altimmune is up 0.26%. It's still traveling along this diagonal line of support. So as long as it keeps on bouncing gently along this, I'm okay. And let's look at Editas. Editas is up 3.64% in pre-market trades. Is forming a nice bullish pennant out here. This was a topping tail. We have not cleared the topping tail. So I'm going to watch and see what happens with this bullish pennant, how future candles turn out. Today's candle is looking pretty good to fit into a nice bullish pennant. So I'm happy with the way it is going right now. However, what I'm not happy about is the waning bullishness, the bullish sentiment of the market, the bearish MACD, and the momentum that is just fallen to average. Illumina is down 0.11%. It's been range bound between 103.22 and 93.89, and that's how it's going to be. CRISPR Therapeutics is up 0.21%. It will get very good support at 65.80. And if one was betting on CRISPR Therapeutics, that would be a good point to buy. Again, personal opinion, not financial advice. It's a good point to buy for a short bounce, and it's for a day trade or probably a swing trade at the most, because we still have the risk of falling down below this. And if you were to look at this segment out here as a bull flag, then you can see that we are already below 50% of the bull flag. And therefore, there is no guarantee that we are going to break out on the upside. So the chances of us breaking below this diagonal line of support is pretty high, in my opinion. Allogene has got no trades pre-market. Grail, as I had warned, the topping tail was very explicit and we are continuing to fall down. Today we are up 1.13%, but I'm thinking that we are going to turn a red candle at the end of the day when the market opens. Now we look at PSEB. PSEB is up 1.63%, and I think we are still in the process of forming a pennant out here. So I'll give benefit of doubt to PSEB. Market sentiment is bullish. MACD is still bullish. Momentum is above average. Earnings happen to be on 5th of November. ARCG is up 0.36%. Not a very convincing move. And we have a gap down, which is looking quite bearish at this point of time. And I was saying yesterday that I don't see any new patterns coming out here. I'm still waiting for the patterns. And we have market sentiment, which is still bullish. MACD is bearish, and momentum is very close to average. So overall, I don't think RG is looking good. Vertex is up 0.43%. It's above this line of support at 414.26. And that's going to be the support for today. We had a doji candle yesterday, which means indecision, very narrow body of trade, and it was very minor gain above day before yesterday's closing. So it was not a resounding success as such. We still have a target of 440.30. Let's see how this pans out. Ginkgo Bioworks is up 0.16%, but not looking that great in the charts. And then I'm going to look at Precision. Precision is up 0.26% in pre-market trades. It's going to get support at 3.64. And we have RAD, which is Ultragenics. Ultragenics is down 0.06% this morning. And if I was to consider this out here to be a flagpole, I would say we are very close to the 50% mark. So what happens today is very pivotal for Ultragenics. And if we fall below the 50% mark, then I say that we have to watch for new patterns. And if the new patterns don't turn out to be bullish, that would be bad news for us. RKT for INF still looking bearish to me, still bear flag. So let's go on to currencies very quickly. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is up 1.21% in pre-market trades, and we have resistance today at 109,454, and we have support today, which is going to be at 106,378. Ethereum also is likely to be up. It will mirror what Bitcoin is doing, and we have XRP. XRP is also managing to move a little bit up. The key test for XRP would be to break out above 2,397. And if it managed to, 2.397, which is the price for XRP, if it managed to break above that, then I think we'll have to wait for the confirmation for above, I would say. Let us look at what we have out here. The last candle was 2.422. So if we close above 2.422, then I would be happy, and we'll start to confirm this diagonal line of support as a support going forward, so that it can guarantee that whenever we touch this, we'll be bouncing. But right now, it's acting as a resistance. So I'm just going to mark this as a resistance. Now, coming back to gold, just one last moment to look at gold before I wind up. Where is the futures? Yeah, futures is out here. Let's just have a quick look at gold. So gold is bouncing off this diagonal line of support. So I'm thinking that in the long run, maybe over the next 3 or 4 weeks, if we continue straddling this line of support and staying above it, then I think we have a good opportunity to top 4,377.609. I don't think this is the end of the road for gold, but there could be further runs on it if people sell gold to realize profit to meet margin calls, assuming that the market continues to drop. That's all I got for this morning, my friends. Please do check out our Substack. And the Substack is pretty good. It's picking up. There is a lot of new subscribers coming in, and you will see a lot of my articles out here in which you can do the comments. And one of the good things about our Substack is the way I'm using it is that whatever long form topic specific video I do, I create a Substack which gives you more details. It contains the research items that I had. The YouTube audience attention span is limited, so I try to keep my long form video to around 8 minutes, and the short form video to at the most 2 to 2.5 minutes. So in these Substack articles, I get freedom to write much more. And if you're on a transit somewhere, you can just watch it on your read it on your computer or your iPhone or something like that. So just check it out and subscribe. It's absolutely free. Go to this page, subscribe. Hope to see you there. Support me in bringing this up further. And thanks to Infant, Hot Dog, and everybody else who has tuned in today. Thanks for your support. And if you have any ticker symbol that you want me to look at, I'd be very happy to do that. Otherwise, I'm in the process of winding down this live stream session. Okay, guys, take care. See you. Have